Shalom. Let me get straight into this lesson. I'm gonna get into this short. And the person who posted this video is a weirdo. I think this you Babylonians are out your effing rockers. You off your rockers. So let me get straight into this lesson. So we're gonna get into this so-called white Jesus thing because it's out of control. It has been brainwashed the whole world because everybody see that so-called white image in their mind. And I say so-called white because no one is truly the color white. The white was a social construct, like they created the black thing for control. So I'm gonna get into this video, then I'm gonna get into this other video, and then I'm gonna get into this last video. So kind of bear with me.
If you didn't know, Jesus was not white. Hate to break it to you. This painting, which we've come to associate with Jesus, is actually Cesare Borgia. When Da Vinci was approached by the Pope to create a painting of Christ, he used Cesare Borgia as his model, and Cesare and Da Vinci were also rumored to be gay lovers. Almost every painting of Jesus after that resembled Da Vinci's, but here's why that matters. It has implications for the theological claim that all humans are created in God's image. If God, Christ, is always being depicted as white, white becomes the default, therefore making everything else less than white, creating racism. This is an image that British scholars put together of a more accurate representation of what Jesus would have looked like.
And let me go back to that image. Let me go back to the image. But they're saying, without them saying it, is he was a so-called black man. I'm going to prove that in scripture. So let me jump to this next video. But you can look at that and go to show you that the default image that's in people's mind, that's on these billboards, that's on television, that's on your phone, that's in the magazines, that's in literature, is all nothing but a lie. And so-called white people cannot handle the truth. Edomites cannot handle the truth. They're going to rebuttal, they're going to kick, they're going to scream, they're going to call it hate speech, but they're not going to accept the truth. Get into this next video. And back it up. So this is what the witchcraft is on the people. Play this. So that, play more of it. And she said, this right here reads on top. While I make handmade blankets to spread the gospel. You hear this? But what are they spreading? They spreading so-called white supremacy. They spreading lies. See, the people are so ingrained and indoctrinated, she don't even know better. And there go your modern day witchcraft. And again, that's what's in the majority of the people's minds because it's great magic. They have put this illusion over the whole world. Let's get into this last video. 1 second. Let me get into this last video. I'm going to let them break it down. I'm going to let them cook. But we're going to break this stronghold down with the truth. And I don't give a damn who feelings get hurt. It ain't about feelings. It's about the truth. We're going to establish the truth. We're going to move forward. That's just the way it is.
Depicted as white. Let's look at this painting. The whole world have seen this painting. Millions of Africans have this painting in their homes.
You hear that? When I was growing up, my grandmother had that painting of so-called white Jesus. And when you can indoctrinate someone with an image, someone break it down to you. When you got an image, someone cannot even know how to read and write, right? But if you got an image, it crosses over it's universal. It crosses over to different languages, different cultures. That image can be used as a teaching tool, as it was the foundation of so-called modern day Christianity. That image of so-called white Jesus, which is Cesare Borgia. It was painted by a so-called white man. And these artists, I'm going to get into Leonardo da Vinci. He painted other paintings of so-called biblical figures, but they all been whitewashed. When I say whitewash, they mean they painted the likeness of them as a so-called white person, as you know, the terminology today. But really, these people were so-called black people. And that's why when we tell you people this, you laugh, you mock, because you're so brainwashed. The average Edomite, the so-called white person, you could tell them this and they'll laugh at you. Why? Because it goes back into that false social construct of white supremacy, so-called. They deeply in this lie as well. They're in the matrix and they don't know it. Let's keep going.
This is one of the paintings that has sold billions of dollars in the world. The one who owns the rights of this painting controls the world. It is very important to know where this painting came from. The question still remains: who made this painting? Leonardo da Vinci was born in 1452 and died in 1519. He was an Italian polymath of the High Renaissance who was active as a painter, draftsman, and engineer. He was commissioned to paint the Last Supper by Lodovico Forza, who was the Duke of Milan in 1494.
And that's the Last Supper painting that everybody's familiar with. When they got it's two women in that picture. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get it for you real quick. 1 second. And there you go. I'm gonna read this. It says, Leonardo da Vinci, he told no lies. Just because you've been lied to and you can't comprehend the truth, a lot of people are not smart enough to understand the truth. That's not our fault. Stay on the slow bus, but we must continue with this truth. It says Leonardo da Vinci, the Last Supper. Everybody had this, a lot of people had this in their house growing up. A famous mural painting depicting, as they say, Jesus and his 12 apostles during his final meal before his crucifix. Completed between 1495 and 1498. Look at that, how he said, this masterpiece, which this is a witchcraft. But this is how they did this. This is how they put this into motion. Renaissance means rebirth. So let's go to this guy, Leonardo da Vinci, so-called white man. Well, here you go. You can screenshot. So he aided and embedded with these other Renaissance artists to give you the images that you have today. They took all the dark images and made them as so-called white people. So let's get into the scripture in the Bible that's supposed to be the authority. But a lot of you so-called white people don't believe that. You don't believe that because you're into the religion of Christianity. The Bible and Christianity is two separate genres. The Bible is a cultural book about the Israelites. What you're into is the religion of Christianity that uses the Bible as a prop. Two separate things. So let's go here. The real Israelites will go back and adhere to these scriptures and break them down and be able to teach people correctly. Not with all this emotional insanity. So this is the book of Daniel 10 and 5. We'll start here. And matter of fact, I wanted to show you some more stuff if I have time. It says the book of Daniel 10 and 5. It says, then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with the fine gold of Uphaz. Matter of fact, let me do this real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm going to read this. Let me see which one I want to read. Give me 1 second. Let me figure this out. Give me 1 second. Okay. So it's going to be to the top left, Matthew Henry's concise commentary. It says this Daniel chapter 10, 1 through 9. This chapter relates the beginning of Daniel's last vision, which is continued to the end of the book. The time would be long before all would be accomplished, and much of it is not yet fulfilled. It says Christ appeared to Daniel, there be Yahushua. So let's go back here. So I'm giving you the context of what's going on, so you won't say I'm making anything up. So Daniel 10 and 5, this is the revealing of the Messiah. He came unto Daniel. Then I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. Let's go to the next verse, 10 and 6. It says, his body giving you a description. He had a spiritual body. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire. This parallels to the same description in the book of Revelation chapter 1 and 13, proving that this is talking about the Messiah. And this is a cut on you Christians that say he didn't have no color, color don't matter, color is everything, because you put that so-called white Jesus image up, so it matters, it's everything. It said, in his arms and his feet, like in color. So when you say he didn't have no color, he was a spirit, he was all this craziness, no. To polish brass. I'm going to break all this down. What is this talking about? What color is this? And his voice of his words like the voice of a multitude describing the Messiah. Matter of fact, let me show you something before I proceed. It says descriptions of Daniel 10, 5 through 6 are nearly identical to those of Yahushua in Revelation chapter 1, 13 through 16. Same description, because it was talking about the same person, which was talking about the Messiah. So let's go back. Let's break this down. I'm probably going to have to do a part 2 because there's so much information to get into. So I'm going to go to this Daniel 10 and 6. We're going to go back to school and learn something. Right? So we're going to break the words down. This is what Christians don't do. Christians don't know how to do this. They just talk emotional. We're going to go through this word. His arms and his feet. So his arms and his feet, like in color. So he had a color to polish brass. Go to this word polished. So when you go to the word polish, it goes to the word burnish. So we're going to break down the word burnish. All right, let me go here. So when you go to the etymology or the origin of the word burnish, look what we have here. It says make brown. You can't make this kind of stuff up. So he was a dark brown skinned man. So when it says burnish, it's talking about dark brown. And let me show you burnished brass. So when you go to the word polish, it goes to the word burnish. That's why they took the word burnish out, right? And put the word polish there, because they know people want to look it up. But we're studious. We're going to look it up. We look into all things. Burnished brass. You see that brown color. Let's go to images. So his feet and his arms were brown, dark brown, burnished brass. And when you go to the color burnished brass, this what comes up. Right here. Brown skinned. So he was a dark brown skinned man. Right here. It says burnished brass. You can't make this up. So when you go back to Daniel 10 and 6, it says his arms and his feet, like in color to polish brass. He was a very dark skinned, so-called black man. And that's not the imagery that you're shown in modern day Christianity. They have told you, they have bewitched you. They have lied to you, but you don't know it. That's why you have to be taught this and woken up.